All right, what's up, gang? Today we're going to talk about eating. How much, how often, what to eat. See, eating is extremely important to the results of your program, whether you're exercising or not. If you are exercising, eating is going to be 80% of the results of your program. 80% is too much to not pay attention to. It's too much to think, well, I can eat anything as long as I'm exercising. I used to think that when I was in my 20s, and it was true in my 20s. It's not true anymore. So there's three aspects that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about color, we're going to talk about how often to eat. What was the third one we were going to talk about?
And frequency.
And frequency. So
actually, no, it was portion control and frequency.
Portion control, right. So color, portion control, and frequency. We're going to talk about all three of those things.
So many of you following our news every week got to know Starkey Sowers, and he's a health expert here in Riverside. And he had mentioned about whole foods and how that was important to integrate into your diet, into your healthy lifestyle. So we're going to talk about three aspects of health, maintaining healthy habits. One would be the color of your plate. So Dr. Michelle Hauser, she is a contributor in Harvard, and she had mentioned that it's so important for you to eat all the colors of the rainbow. The reason why that's important is because you have phytochemicals and phytonutrients, and those two aspects are very beneficial in absorption to your body, which again is produced by plants. So really huge component in maintaining healthy habits.
So what I want to do right now is talk about portions. Portion control is very important. If you sit down and eat an entire pizza, you've probably eaten too much food, though I know a lot of us can sit down and eat a whole pizza. So portion control is this. The size of your protein should be about the size of your, the palm of your hand and the thickness of your hand, and the size of your carbohydrate should be the size of your clenched fist. Now, what are proteins and carbohydrates? Here's a saying that I hope you remember. It's very easy. I'll even give you some hand gestures. Carbohydrates grow out of the ground and proteins move around. When I ask a lot of people the difference between a carbohydrate and a protein, they say, well, a carbohydrate is a Coke or it's pasta. Well, carbohydrate is anything that actually grows out of the ground. So a head of lettuce, which usually stumps most people, is actually a carbohydrate. It grows out of the ground. A protein moves around. So you and I are actually proteins. Insects are proteins, but the things that you're going to eat are probably beef, chicken, mostly, maybe some pork. They're animals that move around. So you've got direct proportions of protein, carbohydrates.
The last aspect we're going to talk about is frequency. So Kenny had mentioned portion control and or the types of food, you know, protein, carbohydrates, beneficial fats, and how much of each you need in a meal. Well, I'm going to talk about frequency and how often you should eat. So many of us, we're exercising all throughout the week. We're really getting it in with the gym, with weights, increasing the weights, but somehow you're not seeing results. Well, a lot of it has to do with frequency. Let's be honest and let's be real without being condemning. Many of us snack. I snack a lot, and I would have to say accountability is so important when it comes to maintaining portion control. So, I mean, thankfully I have Kenny here, and every day we cook for each other, we prepare meals throughout the week. That's always a good way to set some bit of frequency in your portion, so you know exactly how much you're eating in a day. Some people would use food journals. That would help to reflect on how much you ate during the week. But mainly, as you know, the frequency in which you would eat. If you're someone that is exercising regularly, you want to increase the amount of portions you're eating through the day. So, for someone that is exercising, you would eat about 4 to 5 times a day, and for someone that's inactive, that's not going to the gym, then they would go for 3 to 4 a day. All right, guys, so we are going to be teaching you the proper way to do a push-up. Kenny's going to be demonstrating this time. So let me have him do a first one, and I'll explain to you exactly what we're seeing here. So I'm going to have him do a push-up. So notice with Kenny, as he's coming down, his elbows are not out, but they're in as close to the body as possible. And the reason for that is because if you did it improperly, you'll end up having impingements in the front of your shoulder. So benefits behind a push-up would be your core, strengthening of the core, front of your shoulders, your chest, your triceps. If you wanted to do an alternative to this, because I know a lot of us can't do it as good as Kenny, I'm going to have him put his knees down, and when doing that, you're causing less stress with the core. So I'll have him go on and do one, and that right there is a push-up.